Hello and welcome. Welcome back if you've been here before. This is going to be a pick a card reading, um, a past life reading. And we'll ask for any messages from a past life that can basically be a parallel life. and future, past, present timelines all exist all at once. We just can't perceive them all, but they affect us in some way. And sometimes it's helpful to know, and sometimes it's not. So we ask that whatever might be helpful should come through in this reading. Okay. So we're going to have two groups. And we have a selenite crystal and a heart-shaped smoky quartz to help you pick between group 1 and group 2. And then we'll dive into the reading. If you chose group 1, this is going to be your reading. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so this feels, I feel like I'm watching a movie, or I am having flashbacks of a movie or something like that. It's so weird. Okay, so there might have been an event in your past life, and keep an open mind through this reading, that there are many different realities and levels of consciousness and perception, many different timelines, and I'm getting this movie type of vibe because a lot of the things that we see in movies and watch in movies and read in books, whether it is known to the author or the creator, it probably comes from their subconscious or higher consciousness, their memories, consciously or unconsciously, from a previous parallel or future timeline in some way. And this is how we create, right? Write stories and poetry and music and that type of thing, because it comes from a subconscious place. So I'm getting that you may watch a movie that has a scene that has something to do with a ship and the ocean, and it might trigger an emotional response that you can't read or that you're not really aware of, but there's an emotional response because of another lifetime, another a part of you or your consciousness that has experienced something, or well, time is not linear. So there was an event in another life that has something to do with being lost out in sea, or traveling across, I'm getting traveling across continents in a ship. Okay, so what I'm getting is it's not being alone, lost out at sea, but feeling lost out at sea. It could have been a great big ship or a small ship. Yeah, I'm getting traveling across continents or over great distances over sea. Just need to have a closer look at this card. And this is a masculine energy, whether you are currently predominantly feminine or masculine, you could have been something else in a previous life. Okay, so what I'm getting from this card is that in this life, in this reality, you may have had something to do with the operation of the ship or the boat that you were on, whether you were the captain or you were one of the crew, but you had some sort of responsibility or some sort of job that was related to working the ship or working on the ship, and some event happened. I'm trying to get more. Where there may have been a storm or rough seas, and there was a difficulty in some way keeping the ship going or keeping the boat afloat. It feels like a highly stressful situation. Is there anything else? Okay, more cards. Can you tell us more about this life? Why is this event significant? Okay, not that deck. Why is this event, and now conflict is standing out, and I didn't see that initially because I was looking at the picture itself. Someone was meant to reach a destination that they didn't reach. And I'm getting that you... Okay, so there was an intended destination. So you might have intended on going to a specific place, and that's, or steering, guiding the ship, working on the ship, getting it to a specific place. But it didn't get to that place, and it got to another place. And this was destiny, but it wasn't the intention of whoever was on the ship or the boat. We have the Ten of Pentacles. I'm also getting that this was a life-changing event, and at the time it might have seemed like a really stressful, really difficult thing to experience, maybe even scary, maybe even, life-threatening. But what I get is that where you ended up after this event, this incident, right, took you to a place where a different life was created, an even greater one than you were anticipating. And I'm almost getting as if you had accepted that this was your life, working on this ship, or was going to be your path, this was going to be what you would do for work for your life. And there was a contentment, but not a fulfillment with, this type of life and this type of job. And where you did end up, and because of whatever happened on the ship, created something that you had not anticipated for yourself, completely different, something more stable. So this is being on the seas. This is more adventurous. This is more, going where the wind blows you, even though there might have been direct paths that the ship might have been intended to go. But it's almost like your soul was wandering out at sea, and you had subconsciously chosen this as something to do because there was some restlessness inside of you. Probably the place you had been prior to this was just not feeling like where you were supposed to be. And it feels like you had done this for a long time, almost searching, unknowingly searching for something, and then something goes wrong here, and takes you to a new place, a physically new place where you now become grounded. You sort of set up home, start creating a life. Let's ask about this life. And there's some wealth that is that you come into when you then started to establish yourself in a new place, and it almost feels, well, everything is destined, but it happened in such a magically synchronistic way that you ended up in this new place. You in this instance, this person is alone, and it feels like a solitary energy. Like you may not have had family, may not have been married, had a partner or whatever, but it's almost two lives in one. You lived a different life, and then you found fulfillment, success, wealth, happiness, family, and everything where you ended up landing. King of Forces, something about cultivating the land, and Uriel and the Sphinx. Okay, I'm just taking a second to get. There's another boat in water. So that's definitely significant there. So I wanted to ask about this wealth and what happens here. It's so strange that these two men almost look the same. And this could be a representation of what you may have looked like in this life. This looks like the younger version, and this looks like an older version. That is so crazy. And they're both looking in the same direction. Almost even have the same stance. Ooh, the energies get so intense. It takes me a moment. It's like being there type of a thing. Okay, so what I'm getting here is that where you come to find yourself in this lifetime after this journey, you somehow help to cultivate the land in some way, bring some sort of expertise or skill or knowing. There's something to do with Egypt. I'm hearing settling down. So this is where you settle down. There was an angelic guidance to this place. What is the significance here, please? Spirit, tell us. How is this significant for Group 1 to know now? Why is this message coming through? Queen of Wands and the Chariot. And the love is so much red and orange. Wow. I need to get all these cards into the shot. Why is this significant for Group 1? Please bring the message together. Okay, so I don't know how it relates, but I'm getting a message of being. You have a connection to animals and also a connection to the ocean. And you might not be aware of your connection to animals. I'm hearing foreign. Like the places you found yourself in, you were foreign to those places, but you fit right in. You fit into the culture, into the lifestyle. What's the significance for the Group 1 to know? Okay, in this lifetime, you may be feminine. And you have some, like, you might be feminine, dark skin, curly hair, maybe even short hair. Um, okay, so what I'm getting now is that um, this might, I don't know how this is going to, there might be some significant things that come to you from this reading that I can't fully tap into, but it's almost like in your life, in this life, your masculine energy feels drawn in two different directions, or a masculine that you are related to feels drawn in two different directions, and they might not even know, or you might not even know what those different things is. It's just like you haven't been able to get your life to go in a specific direction or the direction you want because there's an internal split or separation or something that needs to come together. And these two seemingly opposing forces need to go in the same direction. And they can go in the same direction and still be different. But it's like you or this other person hasn't realized that. There's supposed to be like this. I'm drawn to this masculine and this feminine, and then the lovers as well. There's a deep affinity here, and these two opposing forces can be a career path where you feel inclined to do one thing and another thing, and you can't choose. Because the lovers is about a choice, and I'm getting you don't have to choose. Okay, so from this past life, something about how it came together. Feeling conflicted about where to go and then going out and getting lost at sea for some time, intentionally or knowingly, and led you to end up exactly where you needed to be and still create something great, successful, something fulfilling and connected. And the same thing is going to happen in this life. Like you can do two different things for work or because you're passionate about both of them, and somehow they'll just marry and it'll just work, even though it can be two completely different things. And this can be anything in your life, it doesn't have to be work. It can be something like wanting to be a parent and having your own biological children, but then being drawn to adopt a child, and you can have both. Something like that. It's like you can have both of something where. So the significance from this previous life is just something for you to know about your previous life. But I feel like in previous timelines, we may have physical experiences so that we can feel it and experience it. But in some perspective, everything is metaphorical and literal. So these lessons from previous lives translate into some sort of guidance, some sort of knowing and feeling in another life. It's almost like you know what it feels like to be lost out at sea. And you know what it is to find stability and success again and community and being versus being alone. And I feel like now in this life you can do both. You don't have to choose. This is telling me that there's going to be more uncovering of certain talents or gifts or aspects of your psyche, your personality from previous lives, because that's what this card is about. It's about the Sphinx being covered with sand, and over time the wind blows it and there's erosion and more of it is uncovered, excavation even. So like you can actively and intentionally deep dive through meditation or and I just had this conversation with my sister earlier about looking into your lineage and your DNA. By asking these things to be shown to you in your dreams, in many ways, you can uncover aspects of yourself from a previous life that could be helpful, you can apply in this life, and that's what this reading is about. But I feel like it's sort of just an activation, like, hey, that's something you could do, or something that's going to happen. You are going to uncover more of your past lives, and I feel like it's just something collective as well. I'm getting age 21, something happening around age 21, either in this previous life, like that could be the age of this younger person when they go on this part of their life, or something around the age 21 in this life for you. This choice could even be something that is like, I want to travel, but I want to settle down and build a home and a family as well. And you can do both. I want to be single, but I want to be married as well. And you can do both. I feel like you may find a partner where there's such an understanding and a coherence and a harmony between the two of you. The conventional type things that might keep us locked down and limited in a relationship or a marriage won't do that in this relationship. Like, your partner may be comfortable staying at home for a few months while you travel for work, but the bond between the two of you is so strong that it wouldn't affect your relationship. It would actually help it, as opposed to other relationships where it might become a problem. This could be reversed as well. One last message for this group. Please, I hope this was helpful. Let's get one last message for this group, please. Three witchy sisters, the power of 3. I'm hearing 369, and this is a number 9 card, and there's 3. There's something about sisters, about having 3 daughters, so that might be you having daughters, or you might be one of 3 sisters. There's also something about one person being older than the other 2. Please give me clarity on this card, please, Spirit. Okay, so please give me clarity on this card. I don't know, I feel like I'm doubting the message that's coming to me and I just don't want to say it. Okay, so that's what I'm getting. There was such a hesitance with this card. I feel like someone has a little bit of resistance to anything that seems a little bit out there, whether that is spirituality or their own personal gifts, and that those gifts doesn't have to be spiritual, psychic type gifts. Someone has a bit of resistance into the unknown aspects of themselves. It's like there's this version of you and there's other aspects of you that your eyes are close to, that you can't see or don't want to access. It's almost like there's a little bit of fear into diving. But just know that when you are ready, these things will, the fear will dissipate. And you neither have to force it. And maybe this reading just opens your mind to these things, and what you need to know comes to you on your own in the right time, in a very synchronistic way. Ooh, buddies. I don't understand why the birds, the outside birds, always walk into my house while I'm doing a reading. It's the craziest thing. Anywho, I hope this message resonates in some way. I have no idea if that made any sense for anyone. If it does, I would love to hear about it if you would like to comment. But thank you for joining me, and I hope I see you again in another reading. Group 1, I just needed to add, firstly, um, diving into past live readings it's intense to read. Um, wow, it's taken a lot of my energy, but almost made me feel more energized. It's a weird feeling. But something else that was coming through that I just needed to add was that in this lifetime, if you've had a spiritual awakening, or you're going through a weird period in your life, or you sometimes feel sensations, emotions, or things that you can't explain, um, where we are right now in the dimensional shift in our current life and world is that the veil is extremely thin, and timelines that run parallel. It feels like at some points there's intersection or a bleed through, or we just become super sensitive, and you can sense other people, other things, other timelines, other lives. And I think the big reason, I didn't realize why, but the reason for me doing this reading was that sometimes we have had conflicts in our previous lives. Like, say you went through a war, right? That was extremely stressful and gave you post traumatic stress. And in this life, you have anxiety that you can't explain when there isn't that kind of conflict or anything in your life that would make you feel anxious. Um, Sometimes you might have a fear of water or a fear of drowning because of something that has happened at another time, in another life. And this is what's coming through in this reading. That's probably the biggest takeaway. Um, Not so much the specific details, but that can resonate for you in some way, or later on stuff will come to your conscious awareness about these things, or some of these things, or any one of these things. But there are there are feelings of longing, or feelings of wanting or desiring certain things, or feelings of not liking or not wanting certain things, or having an affinity for something, or having an extreme dislike for something that might bleed through from other lifetimes. um, you might feel called to visit somewhere, like going to visit Egypt, because you've been there or lived there, or something has happened in a previous life. Um, and what I'm also getting is that certain images will just elicit the memories. And even if it's not a thought or a cognitive memory, there's an emotional memory that can spring up within us. And sometimes if we go down the rabbit hole of exploring it, more stuff will come to our conscious awareness. And sometimes it's just cleared. Sometimes it's just something that, it will be cleared through our dreams, or um, we'll have an experience in our current time space reality that will clear that past experience. Sometimes it's not meant to be cleared, and it's meant to be integrated in this life. Um, and our higher self will always guide us, and we can always ask for guidance. There are things like actually having a past life regression done by a practitioner. I wouldn't always recommend it. I feel like there needs to be a deep calling, a deep knowing that that's something that you would do, because it can be amazing, but it can also be very painful. And I feel like for some people, these past life regressions will just happen automatically, where you'll have like a vision or a dream or something. The stuff we see in the movies are not so far-fetched. Um, and yeah, I felt like I was meant to mention that. Um, wow. The stagecoach and the horses. Um, Something about that seems significant as well. If you see a stagecoach and horses somewhere on a movie, in a picture, in a video somewhere, that might be confirmation for you about this reading. I hope that was helpful. And we'll move to group 2 now. Group 2. You chose the smoky quartz. Group 2, this will be your reading. Let's see what we've got. Okay, hidden motivations. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Nothing's coming to mind straight off the bat. Please give us clear guided messages for group 2 about a past life that they might need to know about. Okay, firstly, I'm hearing something about singing, but it's not clear just yet. Let's see. Please give us clear guided messages for group 2 about a past life. Anything that might be helpful now. Setting your course and Hilarion. Hidden motivations. Okay, sometimes the messages are so random and I try to make sense of them before I say anything. But sometimes the random things just need to be said and they will land for whoever it's supposed to land. Someone might want to watch the movie Hidden Figures. There might be something about the movie or in the movie for you that is relevant. Okay, so firstly, what I'm getting, it's not clear, but I guess it will get clearer. Okay, so someone in this life that's coming through, someone was a mother, and it's not clear to me whether you had 3 daughters. It's funny, there was something in the first group as well about 3 daughters. But somebody might have been a mother and lived a pretty decent life on the surface. But there was something hidden about, and it's not coming through as something sinister or dark or bad. It's just someone had a hidden dream. Possibly they had a hidden talent of being able to sing or maybe something else. And there was some feeling of guilt around having such a good, happy life, and probably being quite well off. Maybe not rich, but well off. But having this yearning for a different type of life, even while being content with this one. What else is there? I was saying at the end of group two's reading and somewhere in between that often certain things about our past lives will bleed through into this life, or we'll have deja vu moments when maybe you're in the same place you were in another life, like a physical location, or there's something that you do that is reminiscent or similar to something from a past life, like even if it's just like a game you play that you might have played as a child or in another life, like something bleeds through. And yeah, we might have sensations or feelings or memories in this life that we can't quite place because they come from a previous life. Oh, wow. Okay. With this card, there are people here, well, spirits in this card. And this card has a specific meaning, but what I'm getting in context of this reading is that someone in a previous life might have either earlier on in their life, before they became a parent and settled down, they might have done something on stage. I'm hearing Lady of the Night. Wow. Okay. That might land for someone. It's hard for me to dive into these energies because it's a very visceral and emotional experience to channel these energies. But Lady in the Night, in the sense of not necessarily to the extent of selling a service in exchange for money, if you get what I'm saying. But in the sense that you might have been a dancer or a singer in a club at night or something like that. And then once having children, you wanted the stable life for your children, but not, and you almost didn't want them to know about this life that you led before them. And also having this feeling of not wanting your children to go down that road. So almost, yeah, changing course in your life completely. And I feel like there was a lot of happiness in this life eventually. But the fact of not sharing that life with anyone, what it was like, there was almost a sense of it being incomplete. Changing your life so drastically, or the direction that your life went into, there was a feeling of this life being incomplete. I'm also getting something about the house you lived in. Like this feels like the inside of the house. There was something that happened in the house, either while you were there or before, that was unsettling, or you couldn't explain. Oh, these energies are intense. Let's get some more cards. I have been dancing around doing these types of readings for such a long time because I knew that it would be like a really new experience for me. And when we level up or have to do something new, it can often be a little bit overwhelming until you adjust to it. There's the Journey and the King of Keys. Okay, what I'm getting in this life, your partner or husband, and it doesn't matter if you're male or female in this current life, but in this previous life, you were a female. And your husband, your partner, I'm not getting specifically that there was any royalty or anything involved here. The cards are just meant to elicit energies and throw the message through me. And even for you, as you look at the cards, we are all becoming more and more sensitive and psychic in a way. You don't have to agree with the term, but the cards can elicit something. So I'm getting that your husband in this life wasn't always home or present. He likely traveled a lot. And so, more often than not, you are alone raising your children, likely daughters. Is there anything else, Spirit? Let's use this deck. What is the significance, please, for the message from this past life? What is the significance? The Four of Wands. This is like either a stable home or a milestone or a goal reached. The Ace of Wands and the Emperor. I feel like this was a very fulfilling life for you. This is definitely a card of being in alignment and accomplishing what you want to accomplish. And I feel like this might be what you are striving for in this life. That sense of accomplishment, fulfillment, something significant around home. Sometimes we long for something that we don't know what it is. And it's sometimes all we need to sort of satiate that feeling is knowing where it comes from. I'm hearing your daughters grow up to be successful in this life, extremely successful. And this was an extremely accomplished, successful, fulfilling life. And this, okay, I'm called to mention this, that, in some lives we choose to have certain experiences in some lives. And say you have one life where there's lots of trauma and tragedy and struggle throughout that life. Some lives are pretty simple and boring and mediocre and straightforward. In some lives, we might be revolutionists and do something great or something. And some lives are a bit of both. And I feel like the life that this time-space reality we are currently in, for some it might be, one of those that I've just mentioned, but I feel like we have the opportunity in this life to accomplish many things. Someone's third eye is very active at the moment. Okay. So what's coming through that is significant about right now is that there is a masculine energy, or you are a masculine energy in this life. Excuse the noise. And there's a past life connection with someone, obviously in another life. The context and dynamics of your relationship was different, but that soul and you are meant to connect again in this life, and you sort of have a knowing and a feeling about this. And this is sort of a milestone for this life. I feel like you spent a lot of time apart but happily together, if that makes sense. Together as in a relationship, but one of you was off traveling a lot. And you're meant to come together in this life. And that's the sense of almost incompletion that I felt earlier on in the reading, like this was a very happy life. It went as it was meant to. You achieved what you were meant to, but there was a sense of something being incomplete. I feel like you felt lonely in the house without your person there, your husband there. And there's something that you need to be completing in this life. There's a reason why you need to come together again. This reading seems more straightforward than the first group, but yet it's still, and it's shorter, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not all meant for me to understand and just to relay the message. What's the significance for this life with this other soul, this other person, a time for spirit? And then at the bottom of the deck, we have that card. Okay, so, oh, that's self-explanatory. There's something spiritual about your connection. You might meet this person online, or you're currently speaking to them online. And again, in this life, there might be some distance. You might not be in the same place, and that this is how you're connected at the moment, or will be through the internet, on the phone, something like that. There's 2 sevens here. 4 and 3 is a 7, and this is a 7. This is like a super spiritual connection. Something significant about the number 7. Okay, I'm also getting that if you meditate, or when you go to sleep, or when you're just in a restful state, you'll be able to sense this person. You might even dream about them, or be able to have telepathic communication with them. And it's almost like I'm not meant to say what is meant to happen with this relationship in this time-space reality, but just that that you should know that you've had a prior life with this person, and that the distance was a thing, and that might be a thing for you now. But some things, well, I think that that's meant to be bridged in this life. The distance thing. There's something about chess that's significant. How do we close out this reading for group 2, please, Spirit? Is there anything more? What is significant about this reading? So yeah, just as either your intuition, your third eye is going to open more and more, and then more of this will become clear to you, or it already has, and there's already a connection between the two of you. And okay, and that's the last thing that wants to come through. You to activate your spiritual gifts for each other in this life. And that can be as woo as, I don't know, you can imagine or not. Your spiritual gifts could be just something, an emotional aspect of yourself, or a skill. This person might give you the confidence to be able to speak because they make you feel safe. And that helps you in your line of work. Like, your spiritual gifts is just gifts within you that need to be unlocked, talents, if you want, if you will. There was something about singing in the previous life. It might be different. Obviously, this is a general reading, so some things might be specific for one or two or a number of people, and then the message is quite general. The rest of it for a larger number of people. But that's the message for you, group 2. I'm eager to listen to this back to see what came through. But if this was helpful, I'd love to hear how. If you would like to comment, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this reading. It's just really helpful to keep doing this. When you do this type of thing, you really love doing it, but there are very real life aspects to keeping these things going and making it work. And it's really helpful if you like and subscribe and share and comment. Especially if you've made it to this far in the reading. I hope this was helpful for someone, and that you will join me again in another reading.